back home, and we commented on that fact.
This little tape recorder has been a big benefit to us in passing some of the time away in our transit out to the moon. The crew of Apollo 13, wishing everybody there a nice evening, and we're just about ready to close out our inspection of Aquarius and get back for a pleasant evening at Odyssey. Good night.
It was plagued by bad omens and bad luck from the very beginning.
13, we've got one more item for you when you get a chance. We'd like it to stir up your cryo tanks.
It never really converged to the point where you felt you really had total control of what was going on.
Okay, stand by.
About the time you'd turn the corner, something new'd show up.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
By the time we came on duty, we were well aware that we had a big problem on our hands.
Can say again, please.
It was life-threatening.
Houston, we've had a problem.
It was not about landing on the moon in the right place. It was about survival.
Maybe most wonderful.
Stand by, 13, we're looking at it.
Saturn V building up to 7.6 million pounds of thrust, and it has cleared the tower.
This is Mission Control Houston. We appear to have a good first stage at this point.
Okay, Mata. We're go, flight. Looks good here. Guys, that's a good flight. Okay, Econ, GNC. Looks good, flight. Looks good, flight. Okay, Sergeant. Looks fine.
The crew was Jim Lovell was the commander. Jack Schweigert was the command module pilot. Jim I had worked with as a backup crew on Apollo 8. When he flew Apollo 8, I was the backup lunar module pilot on that mission. And then we worked, obviously, as a backup crew for Apollo 11. I backed up Buzz Aldrin on that mission. Jack Schweigert, because of a measles threat, replaced Ken Mattingly 2.5 days before launch. So that was something that never happened before or since, I don't think, on a mission.
Flight Dynamics Officer says the trajectory looks good. We show a 1/2 mile in altitude at this time.
We had 4 teams in mission control. We did this from a standpoint of easing the shifting schedule, being able to train for very specialized events during the course of the mission. And then one of us always designated as sort of a lead. And basically the objective of the lead was to address any crises that come up to get your team off the console, and the remaining 3 teams would continue 24/7 support for the mission, as well as picking up a lot of the actions related to the getting the crew back home. I happened to be on console at that time, and we're just right at the very end of our shift. We're preparing for crew sleep period. And one of the last things you do is take a look at the cryogenics and see if you need to stir them up, make them uniform. So you got equalized pressures going into life support system, the fuel cells.
We've got one more item for you when you get a chance. We'd like it to stir up your cryo tanks. In addition, I have Shaft and Trunnion.
Okay.
For a look at the Comet Bennett if you need it.
Stand by. Hey, Houston, we've had a problem here.
Can say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Glenn was coming on with his team at that time, reading the log, preparing for handover.
By the time we got to handover, we knew full well that we had to take care of this thing in terms of an emergency. We were handling something that we knew was out of control. And in this case, every team that came on was dealing with a major set of problems.
I assume you've called in your backup ECOMs?
Flight, say again?
Have you called in your backup ECOMs now? See if we can get some more brain power in this
We
thing?
got one here.
Roger.
We had this loud bang, which kind of reverberated with a little echo, because the vehicles we're in were metal vehicles, and it was kind of like you're in a big barrel and they hit on the side with a sledgehammer kind of sound. In the tunnel area, some of the metal was actually crinkling, kind of like you take a Coke can and squeeze it, a little crinkling. So the two vehicles were moving not together, but a little asymmetric, I think, in roll, and that was causing that stress in the tunnel area.
I went down into the command module and saw that we had lost 2 of our 3 fuel cells, that they develop oxygen. I then looked out the window and saw escaping at a high rate of speed a gaseous oxygen, and it turned out that that oxygen that I was examining was from the second tank, because the explosion occurred on the damaged tank, but that also ruptured the second tank. The first tank just blew the entire side of the spacecraft off.
Here is a bulletin from ABC News. The Apollo 13 spacecraft has had a serious power supply malfunction that could cause the lunar landing mission to be terminated early.
At the moment, the astronauts are continuing to try to isolate their trouble. A late report says the spacecraft now is operating on battery power alone. All unnecessary equipment is being turned off.
Oh, within a couple of minutes when I got to my position, from looking at the instrument panel, 2 meters had the needles on oxygen tank 2 in the bottom, and they were fed by different sensors, which are unlikely to fail at the same time. So I knew we lost tank 2. Without looking at mission rules, I knew that was an abort.
Here in Mission Control, we're now looking towards an alternate mission, swinging around the moon and using the lunar module power systems.
Although we spent lots and lots of time thinking through all the mission rules, when it really happens, like in this case, we didn't have to open any books to tell us what we had to deal with.
Tell me you from Flight. Go ahead, Flight. I want you to get some guys figuring out minimum power in the LEM to sustain life.
Since the cryo-oxygen tank blew up, it ruptured the other lines, and we lost all oxygen supply to the fuel cells and the crew module. And the crew module was dying real quickly from lack of power other than the battery, and we didn't want to use the battery because we needed that for entry.
This is Apollo Control at 57 hours 46 minutes ground elapsed time. The black team of flight controllers is now on station in Mission Control Center looking at possible alternate missions, as we have an apparent serious oxygen leak in the cryogenic oxygen in the service module. And now in the process of powering down the command module. Less than 15 minutes remaining of technical power to the CSM.
The biggest things we had to do in the dying moments of the electrical system in the command module was to transfer the guidance system from the command module to the lunar module. And we only had about 15 minutes to do that, because if we didn't get the guidance system in the lunar module, that meant that we'd have to start all over again to try to get the lunar module guidance system up to speed.
The scheme of going across to the lunar module, still connected with the open tunnel, the lunar module would serve as a sort of lifeboat for the crew of Apollo 13.
And then we started turning on all things, the control systems. We were starting to talk out from the lunar module. And in fact, we were in the lunar module before the ground realized it, and suddenly realized that, oh, they're over there. And then, of course, what they had to say is, we're going to have to get you off the course you're in now to get you back on the free return course.
And this meant that we were no longer on a path that would allow us to be swung around the moon and come back towards the landing spot on the Earth. The controllability of the spacecraft was okay as long as we had our our indicators up because we had practiced that, as I had said. But suddenly, to save power, we shut that down for a while, and we had to control it by only looking at our computer display. And I had never tried that before. I really don't know who had, and it's a very difficult task. And we spent a lot of our first part of our emergency or survival time just learning how to control the spacecraft in this mode.
The Paracyntheon near the moon, they would use the descent propulsion system of the lunar module for trans-Earth injection burn at about 79 hours 30 minutes ground elapsed time. This would produce a day early entry at about 142 hours. That is a day earlier than a nominal free return entry. We're continuing to monitor the situation and still live on air ground.
No, I think to me the loss of comm was business as usual. Every mission, as you went around the backside of the moon, you had LOS and then AOS, and I didn't have any reason to figure we wouldn't be back in the communication when we came out the other side. I spent good part of the time with Jack Schweigert primarily. Jim wasn't that interested. He'd been to the moon and seen it. We shot a lot of pictures. We had 2 cameras out and we were shooting pictures like crazy, like tourists.
We are about 70 hours from home, and we think we have the situation in control. We've projected the consumables as I've described, and we have a plan for carrying out the rest of the mission, but there's going to be no relaxation at all as far as that goes from now until splash.
Our first maneuver was to get us back on free return. The second one was to get us home early. The nominal flight time back home was 155 hours if we had done nothing else. But because consumables were critical, and the ground was calculating consumables, and Fred was also doing the back of the envelope type calculation, which he figured if we were lucky we had about 1 hour spare consumables left before we had landed. We had decided, or the ground had decided, to burn at about 2 hours past the moon, at about 79 hours, a maneuver to shorten the time to get home again.
Plus X, Raj. We have ignition, Raj.
13%. Ground confirms ignition.
40%. Raj, 40%.
Let's get it 40.
Houston copies. Stable control. Looks good now, Flight. Raj.
Attitude looks good at this point.
Roger. FTP. Roger, FTP. Still stable.
After that, the ground was very much concerned with power, and we were too. Command module just slowly kept going down in temperature until I think just prior to reentry, it was down to about 38 degrees. And along with that, it was a sort of a chilling coldness. The walls were perspiring, the windows were completely wet, and it wasn't too healthy. I recall that we went in there to get some hot dogs one day, and it was like reaching into the freezer for the food. One of the potable water lines was frozen the morning of entry on the last day. That's how cold it was in there, without active thermal control. Of course, as the temperature went down, we became concerned about keeping warm. And Fred and I broke out our lunar boots, which we had stowed away in the lunar module, and Jack looked at his wet feet a couple times. But he had an extra set of underwear, so he put that on. We actually had a third little sleep restraint, which Fred then put on and buttoned up and kept a little bit warm.
The command module was very wet. The water separators weren't working, either in the LEM or the command module. There was water everywhere. In the LEM, there's no inner walls, so you could see water on all the connectors, wire bundles, plumbing, every turn, a glob of water. And the command module, we actually had to get towels out to wipe off the instrument panel to see the instruments.
The carbon dioxide canister was filling up quite rapidly, and we had to figure out a way of using the canisters in the command module and place them in the lunar module systems.
And the ground read us up a procedure in order to adapt some of the command module canisters for use in the LEM. And as they read this thing up, Jim and I constructed one of these things. At this point in time, I think the partial pressure of carbon dioxide was reading about 15 millimeters. And we constructed two of these things and put them online, and I think within an hour, the partial pressure of CO2 was down to 2/10. So these were very effective devices.
About the time that we had the lithium hydroxide canisters in place running on the line, my team came in from the rest period. And the trajectory team came up. Jerry Bostic was running that, basically said, I don't know what's going on, but our trajectory is shallowing out. We had to figure out how to perform maneuver without a computer display system, and this was one procedure that they developed, I believe, for Apollo 8.
The ground, after some tracking, realized that we were not on a trajectory that would get us safely back home, and that we'd have to make another maneuver.
We're making the burn, and I'll give you a hack here at 2 minutes to go.
By this time, the crew stations became a lot different. There are 3 people in the lunar module now, usually built for 2. This last maneuver was going to be unique because we did not have the platform powered up, so we didn't have a normal method of determining the attitude of the spacecraft in order to perform the burn.
Right here, 2 minutes, we got it.
On Apollo 8, some time ago, we were concerned with perhaps losing a platform on the return voyage home, and since no one had ever made a lunar trip before, we were looking at sort of way out ways of determining how we could make these corrections home. And some of our people here at MSC had come up with an idea about using the terminator of the Earth to orient the spacecraft, and then the sun position to get orientation and pitch. And with that knowledge, we could then make corrections to correct our angle of entry into the atmosphere.
And mark it 1 minute.
And as you know, I think that the angle of entry into the atmosphere is a very small angle, only about 2 degrees, and so it has to be controlled very closely, and that's what the main tracking is for. So at 105 hours, they gave us instructions to relight the descent engine, to orient the spacecraft in this manner, and give this particular procedure a try. And when they read up the procedure to us, I just couldn't believe it, because even on Apollo 8, I thought I'd never in all the world have to use something way out as this.
Engine arm to descent.
And because it was a manual burn, we had a 3-man operation. Jack would take care of the time. He'd tell us when to light off the engine, when to stop it. Fred handled the pitch maneuver, I handled the roll maneuver, and I pushed the buttons to start and stop the engines.
Ignition. Thrust looks good. Shut down. 470. Okay, looks good. Nice work. Let's hope it was.
Everything got stacked up to the end. We had a dead mothership. Another big challenge for the ground was to build a procedure in about 3.5 days how to power it up. We had no procedure to power it up. It never intended to be ever shut down. And that was a pretty monumental task for a lot of people on the ground.
We've run these simulators both here and at the Cape and at the contractors that continuously ever since last night. We've tried to simulate virtually everything that we've had the crew to do that is non-normal that they've done, and we've proven most everything that we've been able to run on the simulator prior to passing it up to them. There may be some details we haven't done, but at least we've checked the feasibility of everything we've done, and we'll continue to do that.
We really threw away the book. We had never powered down a command module in space, and we had never reactivated one.
And Jack wisely said, well, the first thing was to push in all the circuit breakers with panels on each side. And he said, let's punch in, we'll time it, we'll punch in 6 and stop and see if we smell burning wire, which you can tell when wire's burning. And then we'll step ahead and do the next 6. So we went through the initial activation that way, knowing things were wet. Now, we were, I think, saved in a second-hand way by the Apollo 1 fire, because they rewired totally both vehicles, so everything was virtually waterproof.
Normally when you come home, you have only the command and service module. So the only thing we have to get rid of is this service module just prior to entering the atmosphere. Coming home now, though, we had a dead service module. We had a command module that had no power to it. We had a lunar module that was a wonderful vehicle to travel home with, but didn't have a heat shield, unfortunately, and shortly we'd have to abandon her.
And Jim and Fred were in the LEM and using the translation controller to give us some velocity, and when Jim yelled fire, I jettisoned the service module. And it went off amidst a lot of debris, which is usual, and Jim began to pitch around to try and photograph it.
We copied that report from Jim Lovell of service module separation at 138 hours, 2 minutes, 8 seconds.
I finally caught sight of the service module as it tumbled around in view. And it was, to me, sort of an amazing sight.
And there's one whole side of that spacecraft missing.
Is that right?
I didn't realize that this whole panel by the high gain antenna was blown clean off right along the area where the panel normally swings open. I could see the interior. I couldn't see exactly what was damaged. I could see material hanging out from the interior.
Right by the high gain antenna, the whole panel is blown out, almost from the base to the engine.
Copy that. It's really a mess.
So now we have the command module and the lunar module together, which is an unusual combination. We've never flown this before.
Then a little later, with an offset angle, we blew off the LEM, basically. We had to pressurize the tunnel and blow it off to get the separation kick of the LEM. And again, that was done very late.
We couldn't jettison that until we knew for sure that the command module was in the proper place, the proper time, the proper angle. If we came in less, we'd skip out like skipping a stone on water. If we came too high, we'd burn up just like a meteor in the atmosphere.
We're up now on 3 minutes until time of drogue deployment. Standing by for any reports of acquisition. Got a report that a RIA-4 aircraft has acquisition of signal. Odyssey, Houston, standing by, over. Okay, we read you, Jack. That was command module pilot Jack Schwager. We're looking at the weather on TV, and it looks just as advertised, real good. It's been 2 minutes now from time of drogue deployment. A report of 2 good drogues coming up now for main chutes.
recall, Captain, that when I spoke to you on the phone, you said that you regretted that you were unable to complete your mission. I hereby declare that this was a successful mission. From the start, the exploration of space has been hazardous adventure. The voyage of Apollo 13 dramatized its risks. The men of Apollo 13, by their poise and skill under the most intense kind of pressure, epitomized the character that accepts danger and surmounts it.
Once we were into entry, which was incidentally done fully automated, it was pretty much the normal entry all the way down, and all 3 chutes came out. And kind of miraculously, since we had abused the vehicle, the mothership, by freezing it for 4 days, the water tanks were frozen when they recovered it on board the ship. So we exceeded specifications on all the avionics, certainly. It gave us the second most accurate splashdown of the program. So it was a question of getting this entire world geared and oriented to one single job, get the crew home. And boy, the teams worked out great.
And it didn't need coaching. It just happened. And we all knew each other. We all were comfortable with who could do what and so on. So there you are. We pulled that off.
Actually, I guess when the parachutes came out and they blossomed and we landed on the water and didn't sink, I think we were home safe.
Well, of course, when we hit the water, we were very happy to be back home, and we commented on that fact. The recovery of 13 was almost textbook recovery. It was a calm day. The actual splashdown itself was very mild, and the Navy did a grand job.
If anything, has increased my confidence in the ability of this nation's space program to take an unusual situation and react to it and come out with a successful conclusion. I consider recovery of the crew a successful conclusion. But I have nothing but the utmost admiration for the people on the ground who work tireless hours to get us back.
Sometime this year I'll have had 15 years with NASA, and I don't figure I'll retire for another 30 maybe. So I'll just do whatever job the agency decides is the best place I can be and to contribute the most.
Tape recorder has been a big benefit to us in passing some of the time away on our transit out to the moon. And it's rather odd to see it floating like this in Odyssey while it's playing the theme from 2001.
April 13th, 1970. The mood could only be described as relaxed. Apollo 13, man's 5th lunar mission. The 3rd scheduled to land on the moon, continued its tranquil coast.
This is the crew of Apollo 13. Wishing everybody there a nice evening, and we're just about ready to close out our inspection of Aquarius and get back to a pleasant evening in Odyssey. Good night.
13, we've got one more item for you when you get a chance. We'd like you to stir up your cryo tanks. In addition, have Shaft and Trunnion for a look at the Comet Bennett if you need it.
Okay, stand by. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Yes, Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B bus undervolt.
Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by, 13. We're looking at it.
And we had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning there. And as I recall, main B was the one that had a amp spike on it once before. In the interim here, we're starting to go ahead and button up the tunnel again.
April 11th, 1970, launch day. The crew of Apollo 13. Jim Lovell, commander and veteran of 3 previous missions. He had orbited the moon Christmas 1968 on Apollo 8. Fred Hayes, his first time up, lunar module pilot. Jack Swigert, command module pilot. 3 days ago, he was on the backup crew. Now he replaced Ken Mattingly. Mattingly had been dropped from the mission because he had been exposed to German measles. He would watch the launch from Houston's mission control.
Auto sequence initiated, flight.
Roger. Flight booster. Go. S4B pre-press complete. Roger.
Flight booster. S1C pre-press complete. We're on internal power and we're go.
Roger. How's it look, Econ? You got your space?
Looks good, flight.
Okay. MCC record us to flight speed.
Ignition, flight.
Roger. Roger.
Clock start, flight.
Roger.
Thrusters go, all engines.
Roger. Okay, Fido, how's it look?
Looks good here, flight. Good agreement.
Okay, Booster, how do you look?
S1C looks good, flight.
Okay, Capcom, we go you on the ground. Okay, we go at 1, Capcom.
Get relieving, flight.
Roger. Booster, how do you look?
We look good, flight. We go.
Okay, Fido.
We're go, flight. Looks good here.
Guidance, how's it look?
Good, flight.
Okay, Econ, GNC.
Looks good, flight. Looks good, flight.
Okay, Sergeant.
It looks fine.
Through max Q and we go, flight.
Roger, Booster. And go for staging, Capcom.
Confirm and board out, flight.
Roger.
Staging, flight.
Roger.
Flight Fido, trajectory confirmed, staging.
Roger.
Flight booster, then board out was way early.
Okay.
Flight confirmed, number 5 engine down.
Roger. Booster, you don't see any problem with that, though, do you?
Negative, not right now, flight. All the other engines are go.
The next step in the routine of lunar flight was to burn out of Earth orbit toward the moon, then pull free of the 3rd stage and dock with the lunar module Aquarius. At the controls of the command module Odyssey, Jack Swigert.
We're hard docked, Houston.
Roger, understand hard dock. Good deal.
They pulled Aquarius away from the Saturn 3rd stage, the S4B.
Okay, I can see the S4B now at the hatch window.
Odyssey and Aquarius moved away from Earth toward the moon.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
5 guidance. Go guidance. We've had a hardware restart. I don't know what it was.
Okay. Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B bus undervolt.
You see an AC bus undervolt there, guidance? Or Ecom?
Negative, flight.
Believe the crew reported it. We got a main B undervolt.
We may have had an instrumentation problem, flight.
Roger.
And we had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning there.
The sensation I had, that I had felt a vibration accompanying the bang, not a large vibration or shudder.
Is there any kind of leads we can give them? Or are we looking at instrumentation, or we got a real problem, or what?
We're reading 0 N2 pressure in fuel cell 1 and 13 psi on fuel cell 3 O2 pressure.
Okay, Barrett, what do you want to do? Open circuit fuel cell 1 and 3?
That's firm, flight.
Shut down the reactance valve, and I asked for a reconfirmation, since when you do that, it's sort of irreversible. If you shut one of these things down, they only can be restarted from ground support equipment.
Yeah, that's because of AC. And it looks to me, looking out the hatch, that we are venting something. We are venting something out into space.
Okay, let's everybody think of the kind of things we'd be venting. GNC, you got anything that looks abnormal in your system?
Negative, Flight.
How about you, Ecom? You see anything that, with the instrumentation you got, that could be venting?
That's a firm, Flight. Let me look at the system, Flight, as far as the venting is concerned.
Okay, let's start scanning.
Here is a bulletin from ABC News. The Apollo 13 spacecraft has had a serious power supply malfunction that could cause the lunar landing mission to be terminated early.
I assume you've called in your backup ECOMs?
Flight, say again?
Have you called in your backup ECOMs now? See if we can get some more brain power in this
We
thing?
got one here.
Roger.
At the moment, the astronauts are continuing to try to isolate their trouble. A late report says the spacecraft now is operating on battery power alone. All unnecessary equipment is being turned off.
Okay, now let's everybody keep cool. We got the LEM still attached. The LEM spacecraft's good, so if we need to get back home, we got a LEM to do a good portion of it with. Okay, let's make sure that we don't do anything that's going to blow our CSM electrical power with the batteries or that will cause us to lose the main or the fuel cell number 2. Okay, we want to keep the O2 and that kind of stuff working. We'd like to have RCS, but we got the command module system, so we're in good shape if we need to get home. Let's solve the problem, but let's not make it any worse by guessing.
My concern was increasing all the time. It went from, I wonder what this is going to do to the landing, to I wonder if we can get back home again.
Okay, Ecom, I'm coming back to you.
Flight?
Go ahead.
I think the best thing we can do right now is try to power down.
Right about then, it was quite apparent to me that it was just a question of time that the command module was going to be dead.
You don't want to get fuel cell pumps off, do you?
We can do that on fuel cell number 1, Flight.
Okay, well, let's make sure we don't blow the whole mission. The thing that concerns me is throwing equipment. We had a problem. We don't know the cause of the problem.
Flight, I've got a feeling we've lost 2 fuel cells. I hate to put it that way, but I don't know why we've lost them. It doesn't all tag up.
Network from Flight.
Flight network.
Bring me up another computer in the RTCC, will you?
We got one machine on the RTCC, and we got dual CPs downstairs.
Okay, I want another machine up in the RTCC, and I want a bunch of guys capable of running D-logs down there.
Roger that.
What all this means is only speculation at this point. First, though there has been some tumbling or rotation of the spacecraft, the astronauts do not appear to be in any immediate danger.
I'll tell you what, GNC, can you get somebody in the back room to try to figure out what the equivalent delta V is we're getting so that we can see if we can backtrack to see if we can figure out what's venting?
Roger, we'll give it a try, Flight.
Okay.
When I looked up and saw both oxygen pressures, one absolutely zero and the other one going down, it dawned on me, and I'm sure Jack and Fred about the same time, that we were indeed in serious trouble. The only way to survive the situation was to transfer to the LEM.
Flight Ecom.
Go ahead, Ecom.
The pressure in O2 tank 1 is all the way down to 297. We better think about getting in the LEM or using the LEM systems.
I'd say this is as serious a situation as we have ever had in manned spaceflight. We've always called the LEM a good lifeboat under those circumstances. If at any time in the mission, however, the LEM had separated and we had gotten ourselves into a rendezvous situation or the command module being around the moon, then what you state is absolutely true. It would be a fatal situation.
Tell me you from Flight. Go ahead, Flight. I want you to get some guys figuring out minimum power in the LEM to sustain life.
The accident had occurred 200,000 miles from Earth. Lovell, Swigert, and Hayes rode in the lunar module attached to a lifeless command module. Apollo 13 had started as a mission of scientific exploration. It was now a matter of survival. Since the command module was dead, except for the oxygen and power hoarded for re-entry, the guidance platform of Aquarius, designed to land on and take off from the moon, would have to be used.
The first milestone, and I consider this after the accident, I guess, more or less the survival now. The first milestone was to get alignment on the LEM platform. Alignments are important, you know, because without knowing exactly which way the attitude of a spacecraft is in space, there's no way to tell how to burn or how to use the engines of that spacecraft to get the proper trajectory to come home.
The position we are now on the Earth-Moon plane, we have to go around the moon to get back if we're going to use the DIPS engine. You would have had enough capability with the SPS engine, but of course we don't dare use that now. So we have to go to the back side of the moon and come back.
To get into the correct orbit around the moon, the crew had burned out of a trajectory that would automatically bring them back to Earth. They would have to get back onto a safe course toward Earth.
He needs to put his throttle to min also, Flight.
Throttle to min?
Yes, he's at 29% now, roughly.
This maneuver, again, was completed on time, and because it was a manual burn, we had a three-man operation. Jack would take care of the time. He'd tell us when to light off the engine, when to stop it. Fred handled pitch maneuver, I handled the roll maneuver, and I pushed the buttons to start and stop the engines.
Aquarius, and you go for the burn. Okay, Aquarius, you're looking good.
Auto shutdown.
The first problem was solved. They were back on the path to Earth. But there were many other problems to be solved. From a building at Houston's Manned Spacecraft Center, systems experts coordinated the coast-to-coast effort to get the crew back. One of the big problems was consumables. There would be enough to eat and drink. But in space, there are other factors. Oxygen to breathe, electrical power to keep the spacecraft alive, water to cool the equipment and keep it operating.
What we'll be doing till we get them back on the water is concentrating on everything that is their lives are dependent upon at the moment, rather than worrying about the accident, because there's nothing we can do about that now. It appears at the present time that everything is under control and that we have a safe situation at the moment.
Hey, I want to say you guys are doing real good work.
So are you guys, Jack.
We are about 70 hours from home, and we think we have the situation in control. We've projected the consumables as I've described, and we have a plan for carrying out the rest of the mission, but there's going to be no relaxation at all as far as that goes from now until splash.
There was a key decision to be made before Apollo 13 went behind the moon. Where to bring them down. Their present course would take them to the Indian Ocean, where recovery would be difficult. A burn to bring them home quicker would take them to the Pacific Ocean near the recovery forces. Bringing them home even faster would place them in the South Atlantic, again away from recovery forces. It was decided to take them to the Pacific.
We've run these simulators both here and at the Cape and at the contractors that continuously ever since last night. We've tried to simulate virtually everything that we've had the crew to do that is non-normal that they've done, and we've proven most everything that we've been able to run on the simulator prior to passing it up to them. There may be some details we haven't done, but at least we've checked the feasibility of everything we've done, and we'll continue to do that.
They passed 137 miles from the moon. For Lovell, it was the second time that he had seen the moon so near. But there was no time for contemplation. There was another critical burn coming.
Okay, look, let's get the cameras squared away. Let's get off in the burn. We have one chance, Al.
And in Houston, the newsmen poured in to tell an anxious world the story.
Well, that was going along with the ignition time.
Shortly after Apollo 13 had separated from the Saturn third stage, the stage had been sent onto a trajectory toward the moon. Its impact would be recorded by the seismometer left by Apollo 12.
By the way, Aquarius, we see the results now from 12's seismometer. Looks like your booster just hit the moon and it's rocking it a little bit. Over.
Well, at least something worked on this flight.
Guidance okay?
We're good, flight.
Control okay?
We're okay, flight.
Tell me.
We're go, flight.
Inco okay?
We're good, flight. Ground confirms ignition.
We're burning 40%.
West Houston, you're looking good.
Roger. Shut down.
Roger, shut down. I say that was a good burn.
Roger, now we want to power down as soon as possible.
Understand.
To conserve the electric power and cooling water, the crew shut down all but the vital, life-sustaining systems of the LEM.
I think the LEM spacecraft's in excellent shape, and I think it's fully capable of getting the crew back. I think, as we have found before, every time we've put the LEM spacecraft to a test, it's always done much more than it was guaranteed to do, and I think this is a good case in point.
Conserve the consumables, cooling water, electric power.
The LEM water gun was leaking, and we shut that off. I guess it leaked about a quart of water, I would estimate. But it took me about 2 days to get my feet dry, and of course, I think you were all aware that the temperatures were going down in both vehicles, and it's made for very chilly feet for a couple days.
Lord, your astronauts will come back safe.
If I may be serious for one moment and ask the entire audience for a moment of prayer for the crewmen of the Apollo 13. We'll hold silence for a moment, please.
RCS-A stands at 62% and B at 62%.
I feel we've gone a hell of a long time without any sleep. We're going to have to start thinking about getting people back to sleep again because I didn't get any sleep last night at all.
Command module just slowly kept going down in temperature until I think just prior to reentry, it was down to about 38 degrees. And along with that, it was a sort of a chilling coldness. The walls were perspiring, the windows were completely wet, and it wasn't too healthy. I recall that we went in there to get some hot dogs one day, and it was like reaching into the freezer for the food.
If you want my opinion of how they handled the situation when it happened, they handled it exactly like we'd expect them to. They were about as well on top of it as anybody could be who knew what we knew, which isn't very much, I'll have to admit. But I think they did everything right within the knowledge that was available to us in a timely fashion, which is what all we expect of them. I think they did a beautiful job of it.
We actually had a third little sleep restraint, which Fred then put on and buttoned up and kept a little bit warm.
The astronauts faced another problem, their own exhaled breath. The lithium hydroxide chemical to take carbon dioxide out of the air was not sufficient in the lunar module. They would have to adapt the canisters from the command module to fit the hoses in the LEM. On the ground, an adapter was fashioned from materials the crew had available in the LEM: cardboard from a checklist, plastic bags, and tape. After checkout in an environmental chamber, the directions for construction were sent up to Aquarius.
At this point in time, I think the partial pressure of carbon dioxide was reading about 15 millimeters. And we constructed 2 of these things and put them online, and I think within an hour, the partial pressure of CO2 was down to 0.2.
So you see that survival now became one of initiative and ingenuity, and it was one which the ground continually helped us along. We had all kinds of people on the ground trying to think of ways of extending our lifetime.
There would be still another burn, a mid-course correction to get Apollo 13 into the narrow corridor through the atmosphere.
There were moments when I didn't know how much consumables we had, whether we could make it back or not, but in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do. You just keep going, and you just keep thinking up where you can get more consumables. And so that's exactly what we did.
On April 17th, they prepared for re-entry. After a small course correction burn, they jettisoned the damaged service module.
Copy that. And there's one whole side of that spacecraft missing.
Is that right?
The whole panel is blown out, almost from the base to the engine. Really a mess. Man, that's unbelievable.
Next, they got back into Odyssey to jettison Aquarius prior to entry into the atmosphere.
Left jettison.
Okay, copy that. Farewell, Aquarius, and we thank you. Okay, LOS in a minute or a minute and a half. At entry attitude, we'd like Omni Charlie. And welcome home.
Thank you.
Odyssey Houston standing by, over.
Okay, go over.
Odyssey Houston, we show you on the mains. It really looks great.
Apollo 13, this is recovery, over. They're going through 5,000. Under Apollo 13, this is recovery, and your chutes look good. Apollo 13, this is recovery. We observed your RCS burn, over. The recovery, Apollo 13 is descending. Roger. Apollo 6, this is recovery, over. Photo 1 spliced in at this time. The three chutes are displaced in the water. 0 degrees, magnetic 3.5 miles. Zero, Lima. Zero, Roger. This photo 1, the command module is stable 1 at this time. They're riding comfortably. The vertical axis are approximately 15 degrees. Web 1, you're clear to get the position for returning the other 2 chutes. Web 1, Roger. Okay, Web 2, you win line 270.
I recall, Captain, that when I spoke to you on the phone, you said that you regretted that you were unable to complete your mission. I hereby declare that this was a successful mission. From the start, the exploration of space has been hazardous adventure. The voyage of Apollo 13 dramatized its risks. The men of Apollo 13, by their poise and skill under the most intense kind of pressure, epitomized the character that accepts danger and surmounts it. Theirs is the spirit that built America.